Live breaking news from your news channel.
Good afternoon, I'm Scott Hennis.
And I'm Beth Farnsworth. We begin with breaking news. Mixed verdicts in the Kristen Smart murder trial. Paul Flores found guilty of killing Kristen Smart, a Cal Poly student who disappeared in 1996.
Paul's father, Ruben Flores, was tried separately. He was found not guilty of accessory to murder after the fact. We have live team coverage beginning with News Channel's Dave Alley at the Monterey County Courthouse in Salinas. Dave.
Well, Scott and Beth, more than 26 years after Kristen Smart disappeared, Paul Flores today was indeed found guilty of her murder, while his father, Ruben Flores, was found not guilty. Two juries here at the Monterey County Courthouse delivering those two dramatic verdicts earlier this afternoon. At about 1:30 today, it was a very packed courthouse here in Salinas. Among those in attendance inside that courtroom, both of Smart's parents, Stan and Denise Smart, her brother and sister, as well as many other family and friends. San Luis Obispo County District Attorney Dan Dow was there, as well as was Sheriff Ian Parkinson. Now, within moments of the jury entered the courtroom, Judge Jennifer O'Keefe asked the jury foreperson for the sealed verdict. The large envelope was then delivered to the judge, who went through the contents. O'Keefe then passed along the decision for the court clerk to read it out loud. Tension built inside the courtroom as the people in attendance waited for the clerk to announce the decision of the 12-person jury. Now, within moments, she did read the verdict. It was guilty of first-degree murder for Paul Flores. Denise Smart silently wept, and other family and friends were visibly relieved to hear that decision, while Flores showed very little to no emotion as he was standing next to his attorney, Robert Sanger. The judge then thanked the jury for their dedication in the long trial, which is now in its 14th week. The jurors were then excused. Flores was removed from the courtroom, taken out by bailiffs with the Monterey County Sheriff's Department. About 20 minutes later, the verdict for the Ruben Flores jury, that was then announced. He was charged with being an accessory after the fact. The prosecution alleging he covered up the crime by burying Smart's body under his deck at his Arroyo Grande home. Now, unlike his son, Ruben Flores was found to be not guilty. When the decision was announced, defense attorney Harold Misick patted Flores on the shoulder and smiled. Afterwards, Ruben Flores spoke with members of the media while walking outside of the courthouse.
All that stuff they say is evidence. You look through it, and there is no evidence against anybody, me or Paul. There wasn't any time. And just too much made-up stuff. That's all I can say.
Now, the judge later said Ruben Flores would have his ankle monitoring device, which he has worn since he was released on bail following his arrest back in April of last year. He told the media outside the courtroom he would resume his normal life as he goes and heads back home down to Arroyo Grande. Again, Paul Flores found guilty of the 1996 murder of Kristen Smart. He will be sentenced here at the Monterey County Courthouse in Salinas on Friday, December 9th. He will have the ability to appeal that decision. We'll have much more throughout the evening, but right now, reporting live in Salinas, I'm News Channel reporter Dave Alley.
Dave, thank you for your continuing coverage of this trial. The judge has lifted the gag order that has kept anyone involved in the case from speaking on it. You saw that activity around Dave. They're going to have a press conference with the district attorney in just moments. We'll bring that to you live. In the meantime, there's a statement from Cal Poly's president Jeffrey Armstrong releasing this statement that reads, in part, after the verdicts were released, Kristen Smart's disappearance is a tragic part of our Cal Poly community's history. Today's guilty verdict is a welcome development in the pursuit of justice. He continued by saying our thoughts continue to be with Denise and Stan Smart and family. People in Arroyo Grande are celebrating the guilty verdict for Paul Flores, saying there is finally justice for the Smart family.
And News Channel reporter Christina Rodriguez joins us now live with community reaction. Christina?
It's a day, decades in the making. Paul Flores was found guilty of murdering Kristen Smart. His father, Ruben, who lives here in Arroyo Grande, was found not guilty. Locals cheered when the guilty verdict was delivered for Paul Flores. Business owners at the AG Village say they finally feel some closure and justice for Kristen Smart's family. But many people in the community were not happy. Ruben Flores was found not guilty.
I'm just happy for the family. I'm happy for our community. Relief, peace of mind, closure. 26 years. It's a long time to wait.
Ecstatic. I think that finally justice is served after 26 years. I can't imagine what the Smart family is going through right now. It's finally good news coming out of this.
Community members say the verdict is a start, but they hope Kristen's body is found. As you can see, organizers have already set up purple ribbons in honor of Kristen Smart's favorite color. They will be meeting here at Heritage Park from 5 to 7 p.m. to show support to the Kristen Smart family. Live in Arroyo Grande, I'm News Channel reporter Christina Rodriguez.
All right, thank you for that side of the story, Christina. We will have continuing coverage of the verdict throughout the night. Go visit our mobile app and our website for the very latest information.
All right, we'll shift gears to the weather now. We lost those clouds that we've been seeing quite a bit recently. Nice clear day out there today, mostly, Krista.
Absolutely. You know, temperatures did warm up to no cloud cover, no marine layer. Really part of the reason that temperatures along the coast even warmed up today. Here's a time lapse from our broadcast peak camera in Lake Cachuma. As you can see, we can even see the lake. Sometimes that cloud cover is so dense that we aren't able to do so. So a really sunny and warm day for everybody. Here's a look at some of those current temperatures. 90 degrees currently in Paso, 88 in Santa Ynez, 90 in Ojai as well. The coast is even really nice and warm. 80 currently in Santa Barbara, 78 in Ventura, 80 in Gaviota, 71 in Lompoc, 72 in Santa Maria, and 81 in San Luis Obispo. This warming trend is going to continue into tomorrow, which is actually expected to be the warmest day of this week. Here's a look at some of those highs. 94 in Paso, 92 in Santa Ynez, 90 in Ojai. Even the coast primarily in those 80s as high temperatures for tomorrow. 82 in Santa Barbara, 85 in Lompoc. However, we have a drastic change as we look ahead to the weekend. I'll have all the details in my full forecast. For now, back over to you.
All right, thank you, Krista. In developing news now, the man previously charged for his role in the 2019 Conception dive boat fire faces a new federal indictment. 68-year-old Jerry Boylan, the boat's captain during the tragedy, was indicted today by a federal grand jury in Los Angeles. Charges include misconduct, gross negligence, and inattention to duties in the deaths of 34 people. The new indictment reinstates the charge against the Santa Barbara man after a federal judge dismissed a previous indictment because it did not allege gross negligence. All 33 passengers below deck and one crew member were killed when the fire broke out. The dive boat was docked near Santa Cruz Island at the time, where it sank. Boylan and his 4 crew members were able to escape and survived.
The Santa Barbara Sheriff's Department is facing increasing overtime costs and a shortage of staff positions. In an update to the Board of Supervisors, the department says it will be increasing recruitment efforts, although the number of qualified applicants has been much lower in recent years. The department has also seen some of its staff leave for other agencies that offer better pay and more incentives. The issue is called a top priority.
That needs to be on you when it comes to, as I mentioned, salaries and benefits. And it is, it's something that we all have to work together on rather than sit there. And we need to fix the problem and not try to fix blame.
We're under market as a union, as a department. We're not paid as much as Ventura County or San Luis Obispo County. How is that possible in a county that costs so much more to live?
The Sheriff's Department recently opened its North County Jail and wants to make sure it has enough custody deputies for both of its jail sites, along with the patrol requirements countywide. Many deputies are working overtime shifts, and the department says this fiscal year it will likely have an overtime bill of $17 million. The increased recruiting efforts will be through community outreach, local colleges, and former members of the military. Local agencies are preparing for the world's largest earthquake drill in Santa Barbara County, and they're encouraging everyone in the community to sign up. Millions of people are expected to take part in the global drill on Thursday morning at 10:20. Agencies participating include the Food Bank of Santa Barbara County, Red Cross, and the Office of Emergency Management. There will be activities like drills and exercises, as well as practicing the earthquake safety steps, drop cover, and hold on. The drills are based on the types of earthquakes that can potentially hit our area.
It started obviously in California, but it's gotten so big that it's all over the United States. And so we're doing it virtually for anybody that wants to participate in the county, but I think it's really important because we have to be prepared. You just never know. Something can happen at any time.
If you'd like to sign up, it's not too late. Just log on to our website for more information.
It's been more than 2.5 years since Governor Gavin Newsom's COVID state of emergency went into effect, but now the emergency declaration will officially end in February. Since the declaration on March 4th of 2020, Newsom issued 596 orders covering everything from tax deadlines to stay-at-home orders, all designed to keep the public safe. We spoke with some locals about how these stay-at-home orders impacted their lives.
I decided to be a stay-at-home mom, and since then we've just been accumulating lots of debt.
Going on campus the first year, you'd see it was like barren, like a ghost town, but now it's like lively.
Newsom says the state has enough resources to manage the pandemic next year without the need for a formal emergency declaration. Now to the latest on the war in Ukraine. Russia is showing no signs of slowing its recent barrage of attacks on civilian targets in Ukraine.
As Skylar Henry reports, Russian missiles are now taking aim at the nation's infrastructure.
Russia is targeting power and water supplies just ahead of Ukraine's brutal winter weather. Local officials say Russian missiles hit 2 power plants in Kyiv, killing at least 2 people. More than 50,000 residents lost electricity. Tuesday's strikes follow a barrage of drone attacks on civilian targets in numerous cities, some that had been relatively calm for months.
This is not something new for Russia as they continue to inflict damage on innocent civilians, on civilian infrastructure, as they have failed to achieve their strategic objectives along the front line.
Iran is supplying the suicide drones to Russia, and Ukraine's foreign minister is proposing cutting diplomatic ties with Iran. The Biden administration is condemning the Iranian military sales and the latest Russian escalation, saying U.S. State and Defense Department officials are in touch with the Ukrainians daily on their needs. But Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is still asking for modern air defense systems. He says, quote, to reduce the capabilities of Russian terrorists to zero. There was some promising news. Russia and Ukraine completed a prisoner swap. 108 Ukrainian women, mostly soldiers, are now free. Skylar Henry, Washington.
Still ahead on your news channel, live at 4. Early voting is underway in some key battleground states. What a new polling survey is revealing about the upcoming midterms.
I'm tracking warmer temperatures as we look ahead to tomorrow. Details after the break.
We have more breaking news right now.
Dan Dowse, San Luis Obispo County District Attorney, has just taken the podium for a news conference to talk about the guilty verdict for Paul Flores in the murder of Kristen Smart. Let's go there live now.
That after more than 26 years since her murder and being taken from her family, our criminal and victim justice system has now finally delivered justice for Kristen. The impact that Kristen Smart's disappearance and the then investigation has had on the Smart family, on our community, spanning a quarter century, has been profound. Today's guilty verdict provides some sense of justice for Kristen, the Smarts, and for our community. Today, justice delayed is not justice denied. We're very grateful to both juries for their hard work, for performing their civic duty. They've shown great commitment to their duty by enduring the long trial and reviewing the mountain of evidence that was presented. At this moment, Kristen Smart's father, Mr. Stan Smart, would like to make a statement on behalf of the family. I'd like to tell you that the family will not be taking any questions, and we ask that you please respect their privacy at this time. Mr. Smart.
Thank you. I'd like to make a comment that my wife and we discussed and briefly, and obviously you all recognize this. Without Kristen, there is no joy or happiness in this verdict. After 26 years with today's split verdicts, we learned that our quest for justice for Kristen will continue. This has been an agonizingly long journey with more downs than ups, but we are grateful and appreciate the diligence and energy of the 2 juries to thoroughly review the facts and reach their decisions. Our faith in the justice system has been renewed by their commitment and effort. We feel fortunate to have relied on the professional talents and the commitment of the Deputy District Attorney Chris Prevel, District Attorney Dan Dow, Beth Raub, our victim witness advocate, and paralegal Becky Crippy, and the stellar team of the San Luis Obispo County District Attorney's Office. We would also like to acknowledge Sheriff Ian Parkinson, Detective Clint Cole, District Attorney and Investigator J.T. Camp, and the San Luis Obispo Sheriff's Office for their tireless commitment to making Kristen a priority. The steadfast efforts of this team and so many others ultimately made these trials possible. Finally, we are also thankful for the selfless contributions of Chris Lambert, his Your Own Backyard podcast, which brought not only new information, and also the needed light, for the attention during our darkest moments, sharing Kristen's voice and story. Our family is comforted and strengthened by the knowledge that Kristen continues to be held in the hearts and memories of so many people. We will never be able to personally thank everyone, but please know our gratitude and love goes out for each of you who have been with us for this long, overwhelming, and emotional journey. We're forever stronger together. Most importantly, to our Kristen, almost 3 decades ago, our lives were irreparably changed on the night you disappeared. Know that your spirit lives on in each and every one of us. Every day, not a single day goes by that you aren't missed, remembered, loved, and celebrated. Thank you.
I'm just going to briefly add my appreciation to everyone that my husband spoke about, and to each person who has been the wind beneath our wings to get us to this day. Thank you so much.
Our hearts and prayers continue to be with Kristen's loving family, Stan and Denise. We are grateful to have had your support and your trust to serve you in bringing justice for Kristen. Also with me today, I have the rest of Kristen Smart's family. Her brother Matt and her sister Lindsay and their spouses are here. San Luis Obispo County Sheriff Ian Parkinson is here to my right, and our prosecution team is led by Deputy District Attorney Christopher Prevel, Assistant Chief Investigator J.T. Camp, San Luis Obispo County Sheriff's Senior Detective Clint Cole, and Assistant District Attorney Eric Dobroth. We are very grateful to Sheriff Ian Parkinson. Since he was elected and sworn into office in January of 2011, he had a renewed commitment in prioritization of solving Kristen Smart's murder, and we are grateful for every detective, every Sheriff's Office personnel who spent years on this case to bring us to where we are today. The Sheriff's Office has demonstrated incredible resolve as they have led this incredible and complicated investigation. Their tireless search for sufficient evidence is what has brought us to this point today, where we have finally achieved justice for Kristen in our community. Sheriff Parkinson.
You know, I want to begin just to bring up the most important people in this room, and that is the Smart family. So I had the honor of meeting them in 2019 prior to taking office for the very first time, and we discussed their daughter, Kristen, And I was around in the county in law enforcement at the time Kristen disappeared, and I could only imagine what they had gone through. They were still extremely committed and really faithful, or had faith that we would get to the bottom of this and bring those responsible. And they maintained that throughout my tenure in this position. You know, we talk about justice and closure. The reality is there is some form of justice today, holding the person responsible. However, that doesn't change the fact that their daughter at 19 disappeared and was murdered. And they don't have the opportunity to see her graduate from Cal Poly, be married, have grandchildren for them. So every year that goes by, they continue to suffer for this loss. I committed to them before, and I remain committed that even though Paul was convicted today, this case is not over. This case will not be over until Kristen is returned home. And we have committed to that from the beginning, and I remain committed to that fact that we don't take a breath, we do not put this aside, we continue to pursue this until we bring Kristen home to the family. And that I remain committed to. I would also like to thank the jury. 3 months is a very long time to be on a jury. The commitment for them, I just can't imagine. I can't imagine the commitment from the investigative team. 3 months away from their home, away from their families, up here working tirelessly every week, lucky to go home on weekends. I just admire them. But the jury has a job, and they did that job today, and I think it's really important. I'd also like to thank Monterey County. This is a San Luis case, obviously, and was transferred to Monterey County. The court system, the district attorney's office, the sheriff's office has been phenomenal for all of us, and they deserve a big thank you. The district attorney mentioned about the investigative team. I would like to thank our district attorney for moving forward with the courage to prosecute a complicated case. This was not a simple case. 26 years had passed. And I commend the DA for moving forward with this. Chris Preble, our all-star, truly is a phenomenal attorney and a phenomenal human being, and really led this case through the court system and deserves a tremendous amount of credit. J.T. Camp, a DA investigator, by the way, used to work for the sheriff's office. Phenomenal job working this case as well, hand in hand with Chris. I have actually two investigators that worked that case, or worked this case here. Chief Deputy Nate Paul in the back of the room worked this case before Detective Cole and did a great job. And then, of course, there's Detective Cole, who took this case and worked his tail off to develop and identify evidence in this case that ultimately brought it to trial, and deserves the credit for his hard work. I'm a little biased, but I have a phenomenal investigative team, and Clint is part of that team. And then last to Eric Drobroth, of course, the DA's assistant, who has been involved in this for several years now and has been extremely supportive and willing to help us. I would just like to close and say that I appreciate all the community support. What this does for the community has been tremendous. The ability to have some form of justice to them is really second to the family. They have been living this for 26 years themselves. Some have far left the area years before and now have still followed it and still support the Smart family. And so this is justice for them, for them to understand that the conviction means a tremendous amount. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, Sheriff. We also are indebted to the people of the San Luis Obispo County community for their patience, for their support of the Smart family, and the ongoing investigation and ultimately the prosecution effort. We're thankful for specific caring individuals such as Christopher Lambert, who devoted countless hours in order to keep Kristen's memory alive and the case at the forefront of the hearts and minds of people in our community. His podcast helped to identify additional new witnesses and the collection of important evidence that was critical in the prosecution of this case. San Luis Obispo County is also blessed to have a district attorney's office full of passionate staff members.
We will continue to monitor this news conference put on by law enforcement leaders and District Attorney Dan Dow, and we will have a complete report on it in our later newscasts and online.
Stay with us. More local news coming up next.
Live breaking news from your news channel.
We continue on your news channel with breaking news here at 4:30. Thank you for being with us. I'm Scott Hennessy.
And I'm Beth Farnsworth. We begin with that breaking news. Mixed verdicts in the Kristen Smart murder trial. Paul Flores found guilty of killing Kristen Smart, a Cal Poly student who disappeared in 1996.
Paul's father, Ruben Flores, was tried separately. He was found not guilty of accessory to murder after the fact. Live team coverage here now, beginning with News Channel's Dave Alley at the Monterey County Courthouse for us in Salinas. Dave.
Well, Scott and Beth, more than 26 years after Kristen Smart disappeared, as you mentioned, Paul Flores has been found guilty of murder. His father, Ruben Flores, found not guilty. Two juries here at the Monterey County Courthouse delivered those two dramatic verdicts early this afternoon, and when those two verdicts were read, shortly after 1:30 this afternoon, it was a packed courthouse here at the Monterey County Courthouse. Among those in attendance in the audience, both of Smart's parents, Stan and Denise Smart, her brother and sister also there, many family members and friends as well. San Luis Obispo County District Attorney Dan Dow was there as well as Sheriff Ian Parkinson. Now, within moments of the jury entering the courtroom, Judge Jennifer O'Keefe asked the jury foreperson for the sealed verdict. A large envelope was then delivered to the judge, who went through the contents. She then passed along the decision to the court clerk to read it out loud. Tension built inside that courtroom as people in attendance waited for the clerk to announce the decision. And within moments, she read the verdict, guilty of first-degree murder. Denise Smart silently wept, and other family and friends were visibly relieved once they heard that guilty decision. While Paul Flores showed very little emotion as he was standing next to his attorney, Robert Sanger. The judge then thanked the jury for their dedication in the long trial, which now is in its 14th week. The jurors were then excused. Flores was removed from the courtroom, taken out by bailiffs with the Monterey County Sheriff's Department. About 20 minutes later, his father, Ruben Flores, then had his verdict announced by the jury. He was charged with being an accessory after the fact. The prosecution alleging he covered up the crime by burying Smart's remains under the deck of his Arroyo Grande home. Now, unlike his son, Ruben Flores was found to be not guilty by the jury. When the decision was announced, defense attorney Harold Misick patted Flores on the shoulder, smiled as well. Afterwards, Ruben Flores spoke with members of the media while he walked right out of the courthouse.
All that stuff they say is evidence. You look through it, and there is no evidence against anybody, me or Paul. There wasn't any time, and just too much made-up stuff. That's all I can say.
Now, the judge later said Ruben Flores would have his ankle monitoring device, which he's worn since he was released on bail back in April 2021. That will be taken off. He also told the media he would head back home to Arroyo Grande and then resume his life there. Again, Paul Flores found guilty of the 1996 murder of Kristen Smart. He will be sentenced here at the Monterey County Courthouse on Friday, December 9th. He will have the ability to appeal today's verdict. Reporting live in Salinas, I'm News Channel reporter Dave Alley.
All All right. Thank you, Dave, for your coverage of this 3-month-long trial in Monterey County. People in Arroyo Grande are celebrating the guilty verdict for Paul Flores, saying there is finally some justice for the Smart family.
And News Channel reporter Christina Rodriguez joins us now live with community reaction. Christina?
It's a day decades in the making. Paul Flores was found guilty of the murder of Kristen Smart. His father, Ruben, who lives here in Arroyo Grande, was found not guilty. Locals cheered when the guilty verdict was delivered for Paul Flores. Business owners at the AG Village say they finally feel some closure and justice for the Kristen Smart family. But many people in the community were not happy Ruben Flores was found not guilty.
I'm just happy for the family. I'm happy for our community. Relief, peace of mind, closure. 26 years. It's a long time to wait.
Ecstatic. I think that finally justice is served after 26 years. I can't imagine what the Smart family is going through right now. It's finally good news coming out of this.
Community members say the verdict is a start, but they hope Kristen's body is found. As you can see here, purple ribbons have already been set up to honor Kristen's favorite color. And the community will meet here at Heritage Square Park from 5 to 7 to show support to the Kristen Smart family. Live in Arroyo Grande, I'm News Channel reporter Christina Rodriguez.
All right, thank you for that, Christina. And we will have continuing coverage of the verdict throughout the night. Go visit our mobile app or our website for the very latest information. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
He immediately has to have it. She's like, I'm its mama. It needs me. I love it. What did you say?
An adorable 3-year-old girl from Florida has gone viral thanks to her friendship with her favorite doll, Chloe. The young girl spotted the doll at a Halloween store, and it was apparently love at first sight.
I don't know, I'm just saying maybe a little pair of sunglasses, maybe. The two became a big hit during a visit to Disney World, getting special cupcakes and backstage access to the Haunted Mansion. Well, there may be a lesson buried under there about love and acceptance. Some of us can only see that the doll's eyes are trying to steal souls.
Yeah.
It is creepy.
You don't want to look too deeply
into
those
not
eyes,
at all.
do you?
Nope.
No.
Okay.
I mean, I'm surprised the mom encouraged her to get it.
It's the season.
It's the season, yeah.
Yeah.
Spooky season.
Maybe we'll switch to an elf after Halloween.
Hard to believe when it's summer outside, but we'll get to that coming up as well. So thanks for joining us, everybody.
You're welcome.